It's about, getting into communities, and that's how you find out about good things early.
This is Female Business Angel Podcast.
Your go-to destination if you're a business angel or would like to get into angel investing and don't know where to start.
Or if you just want to find out how we tick. We're Tina and Katja, both business angels from Berlin. Well, I'm a VC now. We will interview established female business angels about how they got started and how it is going, including all the best tips and tricks.
So get ready for some insider stories and personal empowering moments and revelations with these incredible women.
Welcome to this journey with us.
Hi, and welcome to Female Business Angels Podcast. We are at Scene's podcast studio. Scene is a pre-seed fund. Thanks for having us here. Really like to be in this beautiful studio. And our guest today is Raffaela Rein. Hi, Rafa.
Hi, glad to be here.
Yeah, so Raffaela has a very impressive background. She worked in several countries. She worked for BlackRock, for Axel Springer. She'll introduce herself now in a second. She started a super successful company called Foundry, teaching UX design and other 21st century skills to the people. She got also into crypto, really. She went all in, and she's an investor at the own.fund. She's a student at a fellow at Kernel.
Yeah, a fellow.
A fellow at the Kernel program, and many other things. So yeah, tell us about yourself. I probably messed up the intro, so over to you.
Yeah, so I came to Berlin in 2013 and with the idea of starting a startup and had the idea really to help people build careers in this, amazing digital world that is up and coming. And yeah, so I built basically, or the idea was to help people, go from absolutely zero knowledge to job-ready UX designer, software developer, data analyst, all of these most in-demand jobs in the digital economy. And yeah, with that idea, I pretty quickly, looking back, found a co-founder. We got funding and scaled to what is now a team of 120 people globally. And I guess in 2018, the company became profitable. We were making good revenues, and I had basically the lucky position to choose whether to stay or whether to do something new. My co-founder said he would be happy to take it over, and I decided to do something new. So since then, I have started two, self-funded companies. I have a property company, I have an e-commerce company, and then in that time, I also got involved in crypto and blockchain. And at first, from the outside, and then got more and more into it. And I think now I'm at the point where I'm so in love with it. I think it's absolutely the future. And so now I'm actually,
shifting the focus.
I'm not what I mean shifting the focus, but basically I decided to build a new company in that space. And that will be, hopefully happening in the next 6 months. And it will be again venture funded, and it will be again, something hopefully even bigger than Foundry. And because I think blockchain and Web3 is really going to change how we live and how we interact and how the digital world will look like.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I could not agree more. So how did you find that excitement? I know that you came into this crypto scene a bit through personal connections, as everything in life, and personal inspiration, but your first steps were becoming an angel investor, investor in some crypto projects like Popcorn and some others. So how did that happen? What were your first steps?
So my first step was actually way before, very classic, buying some Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then I got really into DeFi and, spent most of my days doing some, crazy leveraged trading stuff. And then I think pretty quickly, I think in crypto, it's pretty soon that you get opportunities to invest in early stage startups. I had actually before invested in my first angel investment was in a classic Web2 startup.
So that was during Korea Foundry times? Or
no, that was after, yeah. So I had already done an angel investment, and then I basically... what I normally like is, when I fall in love in a certain vertical, I actually look for angel investments because I feel like investing in an early stage team, you learn so much more about that vertical than, just reading news articles or following blogs. So normally, my process is not so much, having people come to me. It's normally I go out and look for the companies.
It's a proactive approach.
Yeah,
that's really good.
I'm more active because, basically back then, I was looking for crypto and real estate. And that's when I found my first angel investment. They ended up being a Web2 company, but they are planning to launch a token in the future. So they have a blockchain background. And then I became...
it's a prop tech company.
Well, actually, nowadays, I wouldn't say they're a prop tech company. They are more an asset manager. But they started out with prop tech, yeah. And then I became very interested in this whole crypto and sustainability space. I'm thinking, okay, how can blockchain, and sustainability build new business models together? And that's how I found Popcorn, which is also again an ESG positive asset manager. And then I think I got interested in the metaverse, and that's when I heard about own.fund, and own.fund is a venture DAO. That means it's not just my money, but I committed a bunch of money together with 40 other individuals, and now together we invest this money in metaverse and creator economy.
And it's a rather new fund, right? So not many people are aware of it, because I was talking to some people, even from the crypto space.
Well, I think it's 6 months old.
Okay, that's a long time in crypto.
So it's not that new. Yeah. I guess we don't own.fund doesn't really do marketing. They don't really need to, because most of the people in the fund are founders in Web3 themselves. So all of the deal flow comes through the people in the fund. So they don't really do marketing as such. I actually have suggested to them that we do an event at East Denver, and they were like, no, it's not really, it's not really how they operate. And now actually just today I joined another one. It's called the Proof Collective, and it's a collective of NFT collectors. Kevin Rose, yeah. So I'm now part of the Proof Collective, and I'm very excited to be buying NFTs through that.
Yeah, so you're joining the NFT, you're jumping on the NFT trade. Yeah, I guess I know who was the brand who inspired you. Hi, Jonathan Cordy. That's really exciting. I think, and it's completely distributed, correct? So it's not attached to any physical location, for example, the own.fund or Proof Collective. I guess it's more US based for now, but it's probably completely global.
It's completely global, and they actually have people all over. Actually, Proof, they will also start in-person events, and they have already planned one in Berlin for April, for example. So it will be global, even though, but I think most people probably are from the US, but there's a significant European share as well.
Of the members. I think April is going to be crowded because there will be Bright Moments takeover of Kraftwerk. So Bright Moments is it's a DAO where you can buy NFTs, but you have to physically be in Berlin, for example, to mint crypto Berliners. And they've done the same thing in New York and in Los Angeles. I think the next city is going to be London after Berlin. So we will have Bright Moments, and we will have physical Proof Collective events. That's really cool.
Exactly.
I didn't know about that one. And how would you, if you could compare your angel investing experience in the Web2 companies and then your Web3 experience? So what would you say? What are the main differences?
Oh, it's like a world apart. It's like
two different planets.
It's like two different planets, yeah. So in the Web2 company, it's the classic, because it's also a German GmbH. So I had to go to the notary and sign the documents. And every time the company, for example, does a new funding round or anything, I always have to sign something. So or run to the notary.
So you have this one angel investment.
Yeah, that's just my only
in
one.
The classical space.
Yeah, and I will not do anything else in Web2 anymore.
Like you don't like to go to the notary physically, but that's the German speciality, I guess.
Maybe, but also like I think I'm just much more interested in Web3 these days, and maybe it will change in the future. But right now, I literally only want to do Web3, and so basically that's the one big difference. The other big difference is the valuations. So the valuations in crypto are insane when you come from Web2. And the first time I saw it, I was like, they must be kidding me. Like in Web2, you could only dream of the valuations.
Yeah, although Web2 evaluations are pretty much very high right now.
Yeah.
Still, so.
Well, I can tell you because I've done my Web2 investment. Yeah, also it's not that long ago. So I think crypto is like literally 3-4 times higher.
Okay,
and
wow.
and for the start and many people, they come with like hardly anything. They come with like a 2-pager Google Doc or something.
White paper. Yeah.
And
but they had a track record in the industry. I guess they were well known in the blockchain space. So otherwise, how would you raise? So what would be the example of the valuation? Maybe like, I don't know, 16 million pre-seed? That's a normal range?
Yeah, no, we really see a lot at 25 pre-seed, yeah. Yeah.
25, maybe because the valuation is in Ethereum, or that's why it's like fluctuating a bit.
I've been thinking about it, and I think part of it is, when you launch a token, you obviously need a lot of liquidity, and often the liquidity, is also comes from part of what you're raising. Mm-hmm. And so, the liquidity then doesn't just go into, building the product, building the team. It also goes into actually launching the token and providing the liquidity so that investors can
legal and tax setup.
That investors can trade in and out of the token, and I think that's why they also need more. Basically the model is more complicated in a sense, and so that's the only explanation I have. Plus, those things that work in crypto, they really scale crazy fast, like much faster than Web2. And the other beauty, and that's probably one reason why I prefer investing in Web3 is, you're liquid much quicker. So for example, my Web2 company, until I get, my money back, it's when they exit.
10 years,
and it's normally like around 10 years. Whereas in crypto, like a token launch is normally either immediately after the investment or after 1 or 2 years. So you're liquid much, much quicker, and it's quite nice to then have the liquidity to be able to do new things with it. And so I guess that's why currently that's my preference.
So then you can decide if you stake it, if you swap it, if you hold to it. And,
or invest in new things.
Yeah.
Or for example, so actually with own.fund, like one investment that we did at the very beginning has already returned the entire fund. Like literally like that.
Was it a DeFi company or
no? It was a metaverse company.
Metaverse,
yeah, it's a gaming company.
Yeah,
and we're staking also, and like every month now I get money just from the staking rewards that we're getting, and they're really sending it to me, and that's like insane, Like obviously in Web2 you would never have like a monthly revenue stream from the company you just invested 6 months ago, and and that's really the power of Web3.
Yeah, I guess you have more like intellectual rewards, because if you're currently in touch with the team and if you have headspace, you're involved in this very early days planning and networking, making intros, working on a business plan with them on different strategies. So for me, it was like a practical MBA, the 7 angel investments I've done. So I really enjoyed it, and that was rewarding, but not in the sense of, looking at my like portfolio, Web2 wallet, kind of. So I hope they will pay off, but the main motivation was to be like the extended part of the team and learn and support the founders. But how is it happening in Web3? Because I have a feeling it's much more anonymous. So sometimes you have I'm a big fan of Web3 as well. I'm also starting a new venture in the space. So I'm more into the UX layer and making Web3 accessible to non-technical people, to broad masses, and also the marketing angle, how Web3 can maybe replace the marketing. What you were talking about, how the own fund doesn't need advertising. Bitcoin never done advertising. It's a religion, so people just evangelize and they bring in new people, so it's a network. But on the flip side, it's a very anonymous world, so people are there with their NFT profile picture, so you don't know where they're based, their gender. You don't have enough references about them, like track record. There are some startups that are building that now, but the station or the rabbit hole. But are you in touch with the team? Or are you just chatting to these GIF icons on the Discord?
No, so the people actually pitch to us with their face, with their real names. So even if they're anonymous in the Discord or on Twitter, they come,
it's
like we know who they are. And also like we have 2 employees like in own.fund that do the due diligence before we invest. So they would check the code if, that there's nothing fishy.
Yeah.
They check the legal setup of the company. They also like sometimes, at least not always, but sometimes quite often they do the reference checks. Quite often also, we because these people come through recommendations from within own.fund, often people know them from before. So often we don't need to do reference checks like that. Yeah. But sometimes they do reference checks. So that is so it's not anonymous. They are not anonymous to the investors, but they are anonymous to the outside world. And I guess that has a big regulatory reason, because like there's a lot of uncertainty around the regulation around issuing tokens, and it's just more safe for the founders, frankly, to be an anon. Anon stands for anonymous.
Yeah. And so how does the deal flow work? So it's basically probably 90% network from the founders and who are part of the own.fund, for example. And Proof Collective, you have to buy an NFT, and that's pretty much curated by Kevin Rose and his gang, as far as I know. So it's kind of the community, and they bring the deals in.
Yeah. So I think crypto is all around community, and like the longer or for me at least, the longer I'm in, and the more communities I'm in. I mean, you and me, we're together in this Meninas, DeFi Meninas community. So if anyone
and women in blockchain
in blockchain community. So and I guess through all of these communities, you hear about early stages. So now I'm in Kernel, and like Kernel already now after 2 weeks, there's some really impressive teams, and I will definitely put some of them forward into own.fund then to make an investment in them. But basically it's about that. It's about getting into communities, and that's how you find out about good things early.
Yeah, and how do you make the first step? So if someone is listening to this podcast and really wants to get into Web3, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think also the hurdle to become kind of a small angel investor in Web3 project is lower than becoming a traditional angel investor. So you don't need 25K or 10 or even 5. You can maybe even participate with, 1K, like if you're buying a token, for example, or you can buy it for 100.
I actually have participated in a private beta. Private beta means it's basically before they bring in retail investors or before they launch a token. And there was a company of a friend, but I didn't really know it was on a blockchain that I don't know a lot about. And she said, "Oh, you can invest as much as €1,000 in this basically as an angel investment." I was like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
And that I don't think that exists anywhere else because of all of the admin and KYC that you often have to go through. But so definitely the threshold is much lower. Although also a lot of companies want you to put in at least 25K because they don't want to deal with 1,000 people that put in €1,000 or so. So it depends on the company, but definitely the threshold is lower.
Yeah.
So how do you get started? I guess I don't think there's a fast track per se, unless you can get into a venture DAO. That could definitely be a fast track. But many venture DAOs are also a bit exclusive. And for example, for me to get into own.fund, I needed, I actually had to write an application. And
did you just Google it, or did someone tell you about it?
No, I got recommended by Jutta actually.
Okay.
She to be honest, without Jutta's backing,
Jutta Steiner.
Yeah, I
we
don't
should
think
have her on the podcast.
Yeah, you should. Without Jutta, I don't think they would have taken me because there's mostly Web3 founders, and I haven't found something in Web3 yet. So I'm a bit of an outlier. And there was after me a big banker tried to get in, and they said no, they didn't want him. But that would be the only fast track. Otherwise, it's really about getting into these communities, learning about it, and going to the events. I think events are a great way to meet early stage companies. And
ListCon, ETH.
East
Barcelona,
Paris.
East Paris, Metaverse Summit, Cryptoberfest.
Yeah, then there's
what else do we have?
Cryptoberfest is a good one. There's NFT Berlin is coming up.
Okay, when is that one?
I think it's in June.
Yeah,
and then obviously, I think these are the big ones I know about in Europe for the year. Yeah.
So we'll post them on the podcast. So they're the Web3 fans and wannabe fans can check that out. That's really cool. Yeah, I guess that's the question. Where do you start? So if you want to get into it, and what I really admire about you, Rafa, is that. So I remember when I told people, I'm super excited about Web3. I'm reading everything about it, listening to all the podcasts. Can you recommend me more? So I asked befriended founders, all guys. And then so that, I would also like to exchange with, maybe there are other women. And so they dropped your name as if you were like a super established Web3 personality. And I was like, oh wow, you're Raffaela Rein. I think I knew her, but from the different context. Okay, that's interesting. So you've just decided, okay, this is the next big thing for you, and actually, for our planet, I truly believe as well. And you just went all into it, and now you've been associated with that. So the Web3 lady. Talk to Raffaela.
Yeah, so, I've been surprised myself how quickly that went. I have a feeling it has a different reason. I think, because there's a lot of, as you say, anonymous people in Web3, or people that, are not so publicly visible. And I think that, I come from Web2, I can still talk like a normal person, I don't have I can do the whole crypto lingo. I could actually do it, but I can still talk normally and be understood by normal people. And I guess that makes them more trustworthy. You might have seen I wrote an article around how to create passive income with crypto. And a lot of people wrote me, if anybody else would write this article, I would think it's a scam. But because you wrote it, I think this is actually possible. So I think because of, I've been...
I hope you put the disclaimer, this is not a financial advice.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, although, you know what, I actually have a financial advisor license, from my BlackRock days. Yeah, I actually do hold that.
Yeah. Okay. You are safe. Yeah. But I think that's really cool. Maybe also as a recommendation to our listeners, because we try to kind of give some tips on how to get started with entrepreneurship, angel investment, how to get into it, because sometimes it thinks like a very remote universe that is not for you. But you have to want it, and then you have to start, being present there, going to the events, I guess, and writing articles.
Yeah, for me, it was really writing articles that kind of put me on the map. And I think I wrote articles in niches that no one had written. Like, like last year I wrote some articles about blockchain and sustainability. Or passive income. Not a lot had been written about that. So I think, pick a niche and write something. And then, you always, want to show that you've done your homework before you go into a new industry, and writing is a good way to do that. Plus, it helps also solidify your own understanding. I feel.
And sort like your own thoughts. I guess. Yeah. Wow. So and I think it's also challenging yourself. So
totally. Like, to be honest, every time it gives me the sweats having to write an article, but then you go through it and you're like, okay.
I've written one recently. I had good mentors challenging me. Yeah, but let's see how the outcome is, if everyone is happy with that. And getting into crypto angel investment. I guess another tip would be, I don't know if you would agree with me, is investing through a syndicate, which is, it's like an angel list, right, for Web3, which is called that way. I think it's Syndicate.io or XYZ, I'm not sure.
Well, I haven't done that, so I wouldn't know if that's any good or not.
But I think that's a good beginner's tip as well. What else, on the practical side? So do you always invest in tokens? So do you need to first, if you are just getting started, so do you need to kind of take the big chunk of euros, then buy crypto and then convert crypto into tokens, or how would it work? Do you need to have a big amount of crypto to become an angel investor in Web3?
Well, as we said earlier, there are startups that take angel investors from 1,000, but it's all in USDC most of the time. So you definitely have to, like, USDC is a stable coin, which means it's pegged to the dollar. It's always worth $1. So you have to transfer it into that. But you could use a normal like Coinbase, or I think even Trade Republic is doing that nowadays. So you could use your normal bank account for that. So it's most of the time in US, or like I think all of mine have been in USDC if I think about it.
USDC, and you invest in mostly in a DAO, or is this the foundation? What's the most typical company structure or form?
It's LLCs. They're all LLCs.
Okay.
Or at least, to be honest, like all of the ones I have made are LLCs. I think if there are also European forms of that, but even the European companies I've invested in have chosen the LLC route, and sometimes they don't have a token yet, so that's quite often happens at the early stage. So you really get equity, or quite often how it works is they have sort of a safe and a node, and then once they have once they launch the token, your equity converts into the token, and then they send you the token.
Okay, so it's similar. It's pretty similar to the Web2 world. And what do you think in the future will both investment forms coexist? The one where you go to the notary and where you invest in a GmbH or LTD and you invest in euros and so on, and another one where you would buy tokens and invest in USDT, or would we merge? Would we completely migrate towards the Web3 investing?
Well, I think for the next probably 25 years, I think it will continue side by side. But I think this whole notary system in Germany is already the new coalition has said that they will make this more digital, and so I think looking down in 50 years, I don't think we'll have to run through notary for every little address change and things like that. I hope at least. I think it will coexist for a while, because I think also now Web2 still has a big place in the world, and Web3 is really still at the early beginnings. There's a lot of problems still in Web3, a lot of UX challenges. So I think we have a long time to go before we see mass adoption.
It's emerging, and I found it really interesting because since I'm going to go into fundraising also with my Web3 startup. We really have to think about your fundraising strategy. So are you approaching traditional VCs, although some of them already have a crypto fund, like for example Cherry announced that last week, or do you do this token sale, and so you're just Web3 native? And I don't know, what do you think about that?
So from my experience raising for Career Foundry, it's best to first go to the funds that have done investments in your specific area before. Because I remember with Career Foundry, I went to a lot of VCs that had never done any education investments, and they were all saying, "Oh, we're interested in it," but not a single one of them came through. So I feel as a founder, you have limited time, so it's probably better to go to those companies that have done it before, or even go to venture DAOs. So I think in crypto, quite often the first 5 million literally comes from non-traditional, or from private people, from venture DAOs, not from traditional VCs. And I think that's probably the best way to start, because it's faster. It's to an extent, they're more supportive, because they see it not as a. Of course, they want to have a return, but they don't manage other people's money; they manage their own money. So they also have often a bit longer time horizon. They feel often more involved in the project, or more they buy in more in the founder.
And you don't have to do evangelizing and consulting and explaining what Web3 is and metaverse and so on. You don't.
So if you have to start doing that, then you're definitely at the wrong address.
Yeah, because I heard that stories as well. But maybe it was too early still. But I feel now it's time. It's a good timing. Yeah, very exciting. So I guess we're coming to the end of our podcast. So the questions we always ask our guests would be maybe 3 tips you would give to aspiring Web3 angel investors. So I don't know if there are more ladies listening who would like to get involved, and or maybe why they should change their focus and go into Web3 instead of Web2.
Okay, so my tip number 1 is come to any of the conferences that are happening this year. You know, just get your dip the toes in, and you know, you probably come out with way more knowledge, way more network. At these conferences, you probably find out about groups as well. You know, women in blockchain or DeFi or whatever groups you're interested in.
Who are underrepresented. I think it's the statistics are really terrible. I think it's 5%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And like, for example, I so far have not seen a single woman pitch to us. So it was
at own.fund.
At own.fund, it's only guys so far.
So own.fund would be an example for the venture DAO. But ladies.
Exactly. Like, but basically, these conferences are a great way to find groups to get involved in, or venture DAOs to get involved in. And the last one, I think that's very important. Also, do your homework. Like, you don't want to arrive at this conference, you know, having no clue about crypto or about how things work, because you will not be taken seriously, especially as a woman. So, you know, really go in, have fun, because it is, you know, it's scary, but it's an exciting new world. So really try yourself out, and then when you come to the conference, you can actually talk the talk. And I think, and I think sometimes women make the
learn
mistake.
The abbreviations.
Learn the abbreviations.
Bug me, LFD, GM. You know, maybe you can do a goodbye phrase in crypto slang afterwards.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because like it's always a shame seeing people in general, but somehow I feel it's more women that come and they clearly have no clue, and it's always a shame. So like, don't be like that, basically.
Yeah. Also, like, if you're listening to this podcast, if you need a list of resources to educate yourself on Web3, reach out to us on Instagram. I guess it's the easiest channel, or LinkedIn. And we have a big list, so you can. You can pick something that is for you, because it's you have everything from finance to ESG, which is like Raffaela's passion, and you have NFTs, which you're getting into as well, metaverse. So you can pick something that suits your personality, and so your new venture will definitely be in Web3 and probably related to sustainability aspect. We'll see.
Definitely Web3. Let's everything else is still open. Like, it's still I'm still in the exploration phase, but I hope to have something more concrete in the next 3 months at the latest.
Okay. So we'll see. And maybe like just a very last question to wrap up. If you could change one thing in this world, like, what would it be if you could see a change, like something we don't have today?
Yeah, I would teach innovation and entrepreneurship to people of all ages, but especially in schools. Like, in my mind, that should be the most important subject in anything that's educational, and get people, you know, to really train people to be excited about doing something different, doing something innovative. And I think that would make the world a much better place, and would give people so much more satisfaction in their jobs also.
Yeah, I mean, your entrepreneur is hard, so I think it's an amazing, it's an amazing closing, and I wish that too. I strongly agree. And so let's wrap up. Do we have a crypto phrase to close this podcast?
Wag me, we're all gonna make it.
Wag me. Bye-bye.
Bye.